Okay, you guys, what is up? The King of Lightning is going to do Fairy Tail Chapter 290 review. Now, this chapter of Fairy Tail is very simple, very straightforward. In all honesty, if you want my opinion on this chapter, it was a read. It was a simple read. It wasn't good. It wasn't bad. I just read it, and that was it. So, that being said, let's get started. This chapter starts off with the reveal of Jellal. The reveal of Jellal, because Drambold or Mess decides to be, meh, who are you? Hits the freaking mask off, and Jallal's like, oh shit, it's me. And then but Yajima, he kind of pulls a stunt where he hides the notion of Edelas. He says that, well, this is the Jellal from Edelas, all right, and he's not actual the Jellal from Earthland, and that's how he plays it off. But Lahar's like, no, that's bullshit. So Lahar is going to keep an eye on, well, Lahar and Mest or Drambold, they're going to keep an eye on Jellal. And before that, what happens is that Mermaid Heel apparently walks by. And this was the most interesting part of this whole entire chapter, in my opinion, alright? Mermaid Heel walks by. And then Kagura turns at the right time. And she sees Jellal. And then all of a sudden, she starts to gag and throw up. She almost threw up. And I'm like, yo, what did Jellal do to Kagura to have this reaction? Like, I wasn't expecting that. I was expecting Kagura to just take out her sword, guns blazing, the style of the undrawn longsword type shit. That was what I was expecting. But no. She just like buckled down and started to gag. I was like, whoa, okay, so clearly it must have been some serious shit that Jellal did in order for her to have that reaction. And then after that part comes the whole entire thing where Laxus is talking to his grandfather, Makarov, and they're talking about the Luminastorie, and then he mentions that Iwan called the Luminastorie Fairy Tail's darkness. Then here comes Mavis. It's like, no. It's Fairy Tail's light. Which I'm like, okay, so it's darkness, and then it's light, and then it's like, I don't really know. I don't know. Alright, I don't know. So, it's either light or darkness. Very vague shit. Very vague shit. So, Luminastoria is more important in future arcs. Like, maybe even the next arc. They might get to, like, the Luminastoria. Maybe. Alright? And then Mavis starts to cry, and then a little funny scene where Mavis starts to cry, and then Lotus and Makarov were like, what the fuck should we do now? Like, this is not up our alley, so whatever. And then comes the party, party hardy, yeah! Party, I swear to God. They're like, Fairy Tail's like a frat. Like, all they do is just straight up fucking party. Like, they're frat. It's the Fairy Tail frat. It's the Fairy Tail fraternity. Straight up. Omega Sci-Fi. Straight up. That's what they do. Just party. Alright? And, or teak. Whatever. Okay? Party. And, they're partying. They're partying. And of course, Evergreen is like watching, or like she's sleeping alongside with Elfman. Oh my god! Couple pairings. Yeah, obviously. That pairing's set in stone. And then, that's it, actually. Yeah, party hardy pairing. And then there's a scene of Sting, and Sting's looking at the moon. He's like, I feel that tomorrow I'm gonna face Natsu. And then his little cat's like, yeah, and that's it. And then there's one scene, like they're in that same panel where like Sting is like looking up at the moon. We see like these smaller panels on the bottom. And one of the panels, apparently, the pumpkin guy, he takes his mask off. He takes his pumpkin head off. And I'm like, okay. Kagura's in the shower, and she's looking really depressed. And then we see some boots, alright? We see some boots, and, well, actually, we see Cardius first, and then we see some boots. And then these boots apparently belong to Yukino. And Yukino is saluting to someone, and then she says, Yukino, her last name, forgot her last name, apologizing for the unannounced visit, Sergeant. And then that's the end of the chapter right there. And then next week's chapter is naval battle, and that's it. So this chapter, very simple, very straightforward. Some people may like this chapter. For me personally, this chapter was a read. I sat down, I took 5 minutes, read the chapter, did the review, that was it. There was no emotion, no thoughts on this chapter. The only thing that I'm thinking about right now is what on earth did Jellal do to Kagura in order to see the reaction we did from Kagura? What did Jellal do? I'm thinking that Jellal, when he was still being controlled by Ultair / Zareth, and by the way, Ultair owes Jellal big time. She owes him at least a week in bed for that shit. Alright? She made Jellal kill one of his friends from his childhood. No. She owes him a week in bed, at least. But what I will say is that I'm thinking that Jellal, when he was being controlled, he probably killed Kagura's family in front of her. And then she was traumatically, all that good shit. Well, all that bad shit. So that's what I'm thinking, alright? Jellal at some point killed Kagura's family in front of her, and it was a very traumatic experience. So once she sees Jellal, it takes her back to that point in time where Jellal killed her family. That's what I'm thinking. So, that being said, King of Lightning, rate, comment, subscribe, a fairly quick chapter review, and I'll see you guys later. Signing off.